Thank you. Matt, if we could have roll call, please.
Counselor Zadi,
Here.
Hickerson,
Here.
Hanson,
Here.
Patolo, Robinson, Thompson,
Here.
Demas,
Here.
Pedri,
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. That takes us to our consent agenda. We have the city council meeting minutes and special meeting minutes of December 5th, 2023. Health insurance fund recap from November 2023. Financial report summary from November 2023. The 2023 Police Commission annual report. The Main Street board meeting minutes of November 13th, 2023. The Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board meeting minutes of November 13th, 2023, and the 2024 Airport Board meeting schedule modification. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to our discussion topic for this evening, which surrounds public comment. It's my intent that under new business, we would entertain a motion on this, but I thought it would be helpful to have a discussion to start to see how we want to approach public comment in a way that is equitable, but also preserves the efficiency of meetings. So I would open this up to you all to start, and then I'll share my thoughts towards the end.
I would like us to limit it to like 15 minutes per person. I think that's long enough.
Surely that can't be everybody.
I
That'd be the shortest discussion.
I know there'd been talk about limiting public comment to like 3 minutes or so, and I don't agree with that to the point. I do feel that I'm here to listen to my constituents. I do understand that there are times at meetings, discussions can get long and drawn out, and a lot of times it's repetitive, and we don't get anywhere, but I still believe and feel that it is the right of our constituents to come and address the governing body, and I don't want to limit a conversation that can take place between myself as a counselor and the person commenting, because I think it's important for everybody and those watching TV and watching the meeting to see their government in action, and that we're actually there to listen and understand the concerns and try to do our best to do what's right for the city. And I just think if we limit that, it causes more grief and distrust in government, and I just don't like to see that. I think if we limit it to 15, then we're stuck to 15, and we could be going on and on and on with repetition and covering the same thing over and over again. There's got to be a way within the meeting, if we set a policy that, if you start repeating the same points over and over, then let's end that conversation, let somebody else talk, because we're not getting anywhere. And when we get, the big one I always talk about, to pack this council chambers more than anything was chickens. And when we start getting the same talking points over and over and over again, then there's an issue where there's a time there that we can halt and maybe stop the comments at that time if there's nothing new being offered. But I just feel it's vital to allow public comment and not limit it to the best of our abilities, I guess.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I, when we first started talking about maybe bringing this up, I was thinking a time limit was pretty important, but after a couple things that Rob said in the past and tonight, I agree, especially like on the chicken thing, and it happened less so with the deer. People do have a tendency to start rambling, and I don't know if facing their fear for public speaking kind of comes in when they're allowed to have people that they know agree with them. But I'd say overall, yeah, Rob makes a pretty good point, unless it's getting to where we're getting repetitive and redundancies. Probably best to let people speak.
Well, and that's where I struggle, sort of from a philosophical standpoint. Unlimited means unlimited. And so if people feel the need to stand up and express themselves that way and be repetitive, then cutting them off to me feels arbitrary. Just because I'm tired and don't want to continue listening to it doesn't mean it doesn't have meaning and importance to them. And so it's very uncomfortable for me to say, like, okay, you've talked enough. And if everybody has the expectation of, hey, this is the time that you have, and if you want to have a longer conversation, then, make an appointment with us to have that conversation. That, I think, because it is, 15 minutes is a really long time. 10 minutes is a long time to speak and speak effectively into topic. And so that's kind of, and I would be a lot more comfortable, like, let's say somebody comes up here and they're speaking and they bring up a point that we really want to discuss, or we have more questions for them, making the exception to let that exceed the time limit is much more comfortable to me than telling somebody, hey, you've talked for 20 minutes and you're repeating yourself, so we're going to end your comment. Like that feels much more disrespectful from my standpoint. Now, this is not a hill that I'm going to die on, right? So, yeah, if that's the council's will, then all right. But as the guy who kind of has to run how it goes, it is very hard, to Councilor Hickerson's point, for people to do public speaking. They get very uncomfortable, and what drives them is a really deep emotion. And so I don't want to be disrespectful of that and say enough. I also don't want to be here till midnight, which is kind of my, hope to have some sort of
Happy medium.
structure around it, that we want to hear from you. We want to be able, if you have questions, to take that information down, find the appropriate staff, and get that information back to them. And then if they have something that they really feel like they need to have that longer conversation, to do it in an environment where they're more comfortable and they're not under the stress and pressure of being on YouTube and in front of all of us. And they can meet with, councilmen, they can meet with me, several of us can meet with them together. Like, there's lots of ways we can do that and honor that need outside of this setting. So that's kind of it is, theoretically, you wouldn't have to be an individual time limit. We could say we are going to allot an hour for public comment per meeting. But then if somebody stands up and talks for an hour, they're the only person who got to talk. And so it is just kind of, how do we balance those needs of people's need to be able to address this body, but this body's need to be able to conduct its work in an effective way and provide them with accurate information. There is a gentleman who has spoken previously in public comment and requested some information, and I asked staff to provide the information, and they did provide the information, and he was very unhappy that I didn't personally provide the information. And I'm like, well, dude, I'm not the subject matter expert. And so I sent the people who really can give you the right information to you, because that's my job. It's the best I can do for you. And I expect that we'll see him again, and he'll continue to be dissatisfied. So no matter how long we engage him in this setting, we're not going to be able to fix that issue. So that's kind of my motivation behind having some sort of structure around it, of just, hey, we want to hear from you, but if you have questions or concerns, we're not going to be able to immediately resolve them. So we'll get back to you and we will follow through on addressing them. I do hear your point, though. It's nice for the people who are watching at home, or the people who've come out, week before Christmas, to see us resolving it in the moment. It just, there's not a lot of opportunities for us to do that. So that's kind of my thought. Randy or Councilor Hanson?
I think it's important that we keep our meetings rolling, to keep the discussion alive as far as with our constituents and stuff. I think it's important that we listen to them and keep going. But I do agree with you that we should have some sort of structure or something. I would hate to cut somebody off that we want to hear more information about, or like you say, we have an interaction going, but we can't answer all the questions right up front. And a lot of people come expressing their thoughts and wanting the answers right now, which we really can't do. So it is a tough situation, and I think it's important that we do listen to them, but we do need to keep the meetings rolling also.
What if we did a soft target?
What?
A soft target, where we say, hey, what we would like for you to do is, keep your if you're providing public comment, because public questions or concerns are pretty short, but if you have public comment, we'd like you to keep it about here, whatever, time limit that is. And then if somebody at that point exceeds it and is repetitive, then I would be a lot more comfortable saying, hey, we said 5 and you've gone 8. Is there anything else new you'd like to add?
Yeah.
So that it's not, it doesn't have to be a 5 minutes and we shut the mic off situation.
Yeah, Your Honor, I think that it's fair that we have everybody respect everyone's time. I mean, time is the most valuable asset that we have, and if you're going to come to speak, be prepared and keep it concise. And I don't think that it would be fair on our behalf to put them on a time clock. And it's not a public speaking course, and we understand that some are going to come across a little easier than others, and we don't want to intimidate anyone from sharing their thoughts. But at the end of the day, we all we have things that need to be done, and we want to address them in the most efficient manner. So that's my opinion. If anyone watching tonight, that they can keep that in mind when they come to speak in front of council, that they are prepared, keep it to a few points, and understand that we don't have all the answers, and we will do our best to get back with them, especially if we are personally addressed.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
If at the beginning of each public comment period, we have a set of guidelines or standards that we say, keep it to a minimum, don't be repetitive, not that direct, but, and, we'll do our best to, we're not going to be able to solve the issues now. We may require additional information, just something to set out the game rules right up front. That way, when it is going long and we're covering the same thing over and over again, those rules have been set, and you're not the one saying, hey, I'm going to be Mr. Rude Guy here and tell you to go. But that's the parameters and that's the rules we're wanting to comply with and speak to. And just mention that at each time we have those public comments. That way everybody's on the same page in what's expected and how we're going to move forward. My thing is, I just hate to limit it when you get into a good conversation with somebody or a good debate or on trying to solve something. And I think there are times that we've actually had some good conversations in the last 20 years, almost 20 years I've been here, that I think we've had some good public meetings.
Yeah.
And I think the public's really appreciative that they can go to their council and hold those conversations and say what they want to say. I've talked at boards before where I get no feedback and nothing, and I'm cut off at 3 minutes and that's it. And I'm sitting there going, did they even listen to what I had to say? And so it's very important to me to know that my government's there listening to me as a citizen. And that's what I want to make sure that we convey to everybody. So,
No, I think that's a good approach to just, because that's all I'm looking for is some structure outside of it's just open.
yeah. No,
Because just open means it's just open, and if there's 40 people who want to say the same story about chickens, then we'll all be getting coffee together tomorrow morning,
yeah.
right? And that sounds like a lot. So it would be nice to have a structure, and it doesn't have to be a 3 minutes, cut the mic kind of a situation. There's some room for flexibility there.
Your Honor, I like the idea that you had the soft target, so it's not 3 minutes, cut you off. It's if we can come up with a consensus, 5 to 10 minutes, a lot of people can get their
Well, and
idea out there at that time, and I don't know if that leaves it up to you or any of us, most likely you as the mayor, to say, okay, we've gone as far as we can with this now, but I also see Rob's point. We're getting into a good discussion, and we all feel, okay, we can move, we're getting somewhere, we're moving along, okay, keep it going. So it's not boom, done, everybody's hands are tied, and that's it. I think some wiggle room on there is
Yeah.
needed.
Well, and that is the last thing we want to do, and it is a reality. I mean, I've done a lot of public speaking, and I still get super nervous every time I have to do public speaking. And so when you're new to it or it's different, it's hard. And 3 minutes is not that much time if you're trying to like emotionally compose yourself and make your point. So just having some guidelines, I would be really happy with that as a way to say, hey, here's what we're trying to accomplish. We want to hear, because we don't want people to feel like, well, if I'm not a professional public speaker, they don't want to hear from me.
And you're absolutely right. Like, we're not going to have the answers. We're not going to fix it. We're going to need to go to the department heads because they're the ones that are going to know the information. Maybe not even, they might not have it. They need to go to their next line supervisors because they don't know every detail of every day that's going on with their people.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to have to research and find out.
No, I like that. I think that would be a good good approach. So unless anybody else has something burning they'd like to add. Nope. Okay. Then we'll move forward to bid openings. We've got one for a street truck sander that is locked up like the seed vault. Ah. Okay, so this is from Peterbilt of Cheyenne. All right, I was trying to figure out where it came from. It looks like the total bid price is $324,843. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, did you see? Oh, yep, and there's a bid bond. Okay, so we'll pass that on.
324, 843.
Yep, 324, 843. Which makes me feel a lot better about regular truck prices. Thanks. I'm telling you. My kids like those unboxing videos, and I've always thought, well, this is the dumbest thing. Any idiot can open a box. And apparently that's not quite so true. Which does bring us to this evening's petitions and public comment. So if you'd like to address the body, please come forward and give us your name and who you represent, if anyone.
Okay. My name is Shirley Sukeli. I'm not going to use Shirley Ann. I'll use Shirley Sukeli because I'm in a positive mood since the last time. But give me 5 minutes, I'm going to give you 3. Because this needs to be said. And it's never been said since the time there's been a city council, ever. And what I like to say to you is thank you for your service. Thank you, Max. Thank you, council, for your service. You know, the ones that we really need to thank is your family. They're the ones that need to be really thanked because they don't have you. You know, they don't have you at times that they need you, that you have to be, but you asked for it. You know, I hate to say it, but you asked for it and that. But I do appreciate it because you know how I am. I look at everybody and I say, okay, now I got to work this out. But what I've seen so far, you've done an excellent job. And you counselors have really worked with Max. I mean, you know, we can't ask for anything better. And I'd like to say to the chief of police over here, which I can't say his last name, he is so adorable. There are no words to tell you about him. I'm telling you, he is, you know, interviewing him, Max, was just fantastic. You've got a good chief of police. I got to say it, that any of them that ever was here. He's got his officers. He's got his office in line. and everything is just going sharply. And I know I'm a pain in his neck, and he loves it because he just don't want to have all the fun, with all with the way I am. But I am thankful, very, very thankful. But understand something, what you're talking about tonight, and somebody comes up here and says something to you, like I did when I did that one time, and yes, I took too long, but the emotions was so, it had to get out. But you got to understand, you got to answer the question. And the question was so easy. I couldn't believe it. And so I will do better in my next year. I will do much better, but I'll be using Shirley Ann Sukeli. So thank you. And you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You
And
as well.
next year is going to be better.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Adorable.
That's going to be on your door in the morning, I'm sure.
Hi, I'm Laura McKee, and I also second her. Thank you so much for your work. We know it's hard work what you guys do. Yes. And so I came in October when they were going to do the reading with the drag to the children, and then I knew that they were going to do a Dravaganza for New Year's, but I had no idea that it was going to involve possibly bringing children. It does say the performance of this event will contain mature content. Parental discretion is advised. And I was looking at some of the laws and articles and stuff of the city, but it does, I had read some stuff about, obscenity. Just things that people have told me that are at the shows. I've not been at the show. I don't want to be at the show. I don't want kids to be at the show. Adults do what adults do. I cannot tell adults what to do. They, like you said last time, Max, they have a First Amendment right to do what they want. My big issue is the kids and having them. It seems to me like a bar type situation. I mean, the bar opens like an hour before. People are dressed in burlesque type, whatever type of outfits. We're not dressed in church dresses, and that's not what the whole thing is. It's still of a sexual nature with kids, and it does say that obscene in Article 3, it talks about that obscene is a material which the average person would find applying contemporary community standards taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest. So there's some things in there, the way that I read them, that I still see it as
something for children.
Yeah, it's just not, I just don't understand why it can't be like an 18 plus type thing. I just want to fight for kids. I love kids. I have 4 foster kids, not by planned, but that's how things worked out. And I love people. I want to help people. I have no ill will towards anyone. I just want to protect children from sexualization very much. So that's, and I know I talked with Max, and he had said that, that the police don't let certain things happen. But I guess my question is, how do I know what's going to happen at these shows with these kids being present? And like the bathroom situation, they go in a bathroom, there's a man dressed as a woman or whatever it is. I mean, my mind doesn't even want to go there, but it's just a very big concern I have. So I would like to know, what's happening at these shows. What are our kids being exposed to? I love kids, and I don't want that for them.
No, and that the children being present there falls under the purview of their parents. So as long as they're not engaging in conduct that violates our rules around, I don't know what the technical terms are, but they can't open a strip club.
Right.
There's not really anything that the city can do any more than we can tell people what church they have to take their kids to or what movies they could go to. And so it is, I would think the best thing for you to do would be to reach out to the Starling company, Kenny McCormick, because they're the ones who are putting on the show.
So we
and
should
sit
be
down
able
and
to
talk to
tell
him.
them
What does
it is.
this look like? You know, what's going on? Because he would be the one who's best placed to tell you. And since it's not a city event, we don't really have information
Right.
any more than any of the other acts that
Right.
you know.
Yeah, we talked about that, that you guys put money into the building and you rent it, but you don't have anything to do with, our taxpayer money is not going
Yeah.
towards any of this stuff.
And so it's a private event that it wouldn't be any different than having attended some events like quinceañeras or weddings. Sometimes they get pretty rowdy and there's kids there.
Right.
But if they've rented our facility, you know, we're not in there because they've rented that space. It's their space for that time.
Right. Well, to me, it's different because it's of a sexual nature. We're not, I mean, at a wedding, they're getting
been-
married. It's different. It's
I've been
kind
to
of-
some weddings where there's some pretty shockingly
stuff,
risque
okay.
behavior. Yeah. And so,
It's not supposed to be, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of the thing towards this is that these people have a different way of, you know, viewing things and want to do a certain thing. So, like I said, I just don't know why
but I'm sure
be
that
out of that
Mr.
completely.
McCormick would be happy to sit down and visit with you and kind of explain what he's doing, why he's doing it, what it looks like. And he would be the person that you'd want to talk to get a better understanding of what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sharon Hummel, and I'm a former teacher. I love the younger children, and I've done some research and personal feelings about these things because I know Kinsey told us that children are all sexual, and I just want the world to know that I don't agree with that. They go to a puberty, you know. So 11, 12, 13, but they are not sexual children. And I did go to Broadway to and visited with the drag queens and Pleasant and just wanted to know who. And I was hoping they would like to know who I was. I was talking to the other grandmothers there, and I took home the book of this little boy that maybe 6 years old in this book, and he was in the book. It explained he was so unhappy because he liked to dance, but he was a boy and people made fun of him, and so he became a girl, and it's just not fair to give our little ones. I feel that let them be children. Let them just play. The boys and girls, they can all play. It's the sexual dividing them, and putting these thoughts in their mind, I think, is a type of child abuse. That's my feeling. We just want to express how we feel, and I'm thankful that we have a city council where we can come and do that.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you both.
Max, can I say something on that?
Yes, ma'am.
30 seconds.
Okay.
Shirley or Shirley Ann?
My name is Shirley. Okay, Max, this would work out. You know, it'd have to be Tim, Counselor Robinson, but I'll invite him to go. And I'll take him to that, okay? I'll take him to that. I can have blindfolds on. I've got no problem with that. And he can see what's all going on. Then he can come back here and he can report to you guys. And then you know for a fact. What do you think?
I think you should email him and ask him.
Oh, does he have an email? I could get it?
Yeah, you go,
We all.
Oh, okay, I will
you go on
do
the
that
city website, you can find all of ours.
on the emails. I will do that, but I think that's a good idea. And then he could come and he could say, hey, look at, that was, ooh, yeah, ooh. I don't think so.
Okay. Very good. Is there anybody else who'd like to address us? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Heather Weidel. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I have stood up at 2 town hall meetings, not being a fan of public speaking, not being able to push past my emotions, to say what I needed to say. After having an extremely long conversation with a close friend and shedding a lot of tears, that what I was dealing with was buried trauma and survivor's guilt. I have lost a lot of people in my life. Some of those losses have been soul-crushingly painful. I met my best friend and 2 close friends at Western after high school. They joined the Marines and were later killed, years later overseas fighting. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 26 years old. Whenever they were back from deployments, my best friend would take me to my chemo treatments. I wasn't diagnosed properly here in Rock Springs after going to a facility and another doctor. It was after a fall that I found out what was wrong. I felt after this diagnosis that it was a perfect time to get out of the abusive marriage I was in. I honestly think that helped to heal me and stay alive was that if I had died, that my children would have been safe. They wouldn't have grown up in the U.S. My friend had made arrangements to have them set up in another country if I had passed away. There are things that have occurred in Sweetwater County that have shaped how I see life here. One particular event where someone I know could have saved some people's lives and chose not to. It is something that has deeply impacted me because I am not that person who would ever do something like that. I am always someone who looks out for people, always tries to take preventative measures. That started at home. My dad telling me I was the oldest, that I needed to protect my sisters. Moving to Wyoming when I was 18 years old, my uncle helped me to acclimate to Rock Springs, took us for ice cream and Farson, rode motorcycles with him, looked for arrowheads, and did other fun stuff. He was born and raised in Rock Springs, always showed pride in the city. He was always someone who stood up and protected people. He was a good man. He passed away last June, a year ago in June. 6 months after my aunt. It has been difficult being back in Rock Springs, knowing that they are gone. There's a bit of a hole. I brought up a sexual assault I had been through in the last town hall meeting. The way I meant to bring that up was in a different manner than how I had said it. Footage from an assault was released from the public to view after an accusation was cited against a female Rock Springs police officer. The woman had also stated in an interview that there were cameras at a business that were taken down. The woman had said that she was sexually assaulted, that the cameras would have shown that if that event actually did happen, and that proof was gone. Let me reread that part. The cameras would have shown that if that was actually what happened, and that was proof of that. I feel that what happened to me several years ago, if there were cameras present, that would have actually lessened the burden of the trauma. Having that proof and not having to talk about it so much, to let the video speak for itself. One of the greatest and most beneficial things I learned from a friend is not to allow fear to take over, not to allow it to control you, to think through a situation and stay calm. That is why I came back to speak again. I am not going to allow fear to prevent me from saying what I need to say. Public speaking is not fun, but I have to suck it up and deal with it. It is one thing I still need to tackle in my life. The 2 previous times I tried to speak, I got derailed. The first time with thoughts of my lost friends. That town hall meeting was to remember Veterans Day. I know if they were here, I wouldn't have backed down and not said what I needed to say. I have put my life on hold in many respects because of the loss of them. The second time, what derailed me from saying what I needed to say was the man that spoke before me, Robert. He spoke about the loss of his mother and his drug addiction. I lost my grandmother the week before Thanksgiving. She was an amazing woman, a retired hospice nurse who lost 2 husbands. When she was 22 years old, her husband was killed in a mining accident. My mom was 5 years old, my aunts were younger, and my uncle was a baby. She went to nursing school, raised 4 children, later married my grandfather I knew growing up. He was a retired World War II Army drill sergeant. He was an amazing man. My grandmother cared for him until he passed away of pancreatic cancer. I have had some wonderful people in my life. To show me that it is important to look out for other people, to try and be the best version of yourself. Robert talked about his addiction and mental health issues. That was difficult to listen to as well. I have many family members who have been negatively impacted by alcohol and drugs. Trying to be there for them, sometimes not knowing what to do because I myself didn't drink or do drugs. I am a person who cannot turn a blind eye when something is clearly wrong. I don't speak up or push an issue unless something is wrong. I try to resolve the issue myself. If that doesn't get the needed result, I ask for help. I have never thought to speak in a town hall meeting. This will make the third time. This time with what I have to say being complete. So that's a preemptive. So, because last time just got derailed and I got emotional and it was just not good. But I know you guys were saying not to bring up the same issues repetitively, but I think if I wouldn't have said something about some of these road issues, they wouldn't have never gotten fixed. That yield sign over on Sunset by Kelly's, it's finally fixed. And that was 4 months after I first said something. That they put the same stop sign up that was on 191 leaving Reliance. So that was good. The ones that scare me the most are the missing stop signs and stuff, because I almost got sideswiped by a couple situations. And I brought another list for that one, if you guys want to look at it. I'm not going to read all of this because it's too much. But the housing situation, there's not an office for people to go to for renters. They say call 211, and what you have is like low-income housing. That's the only other. So places not getting repaired, issues with landlords or owners, nothing gets resolved. You get retaliated on if you ask for things to be done. It's gotten to the point where I've had to record my phone conversations and keep my Ring cam footage because they don't come in and do repairs that they're supposed to do. This isn't particular to Rock Springs, but it's other parts of the state that teachers have spoken up about. I don't know if it's happening here, but it's something I just kind of want to briefly bring up, like students being disruptive in class. Like when I was a kid and when I was a senior, the dropout rate was 25%, and now that's gone down to 18%. I think a lot of that disruptiveness can be resolved through principals and superintendents backing their teachers up, where they don't, feel like they're alone. And something to do with the cell phones, where these kids don't have their cell phones on them all the time, put them on the chalkboard or something. Because back when I was in school, they just call the office if there's an emergency and you're fine. So kids don't really need that constant phone contact all the time. This one I addressed last time, but there's a different take on this. I-80 has always been a trafficking corridor. Drugs, sex, human, whatever doesn't come from I-80. I-80 runs from Georgia all through Wyoming, through the west up into New Jersey. So what doesn't come through I-80 comes from Denver through I-25. When I was in a police academy back in 2005 is when I found out a lot of the large-scale things that happen in the West. And a lot of that gets undetected just driving through the state. And I'm not pointing fingers, but there is law enforcement and public officials, I'm not going to say Rock Springs, but in the state that are involved with this. So I think that's going to get uncovered over the next year or so. With the new law in Texas, as far as the state being able to arrest people coming in illegally, they were getting 188 last month, and the month before that was 188,000 immigrants coming in, and then the month before that was even more. So it's like a deluge of just people coming in. And then also Tijuana, I don't remember what the city is across from that, but people come from all over the world to go to Tijuana to get into the US. It's always been a hotbed of people coming in here. That's another reason for the cameras being in the intersections. Not just for accidents, not just for local crime, international crime that comes through our state. One issue I kind of touched on, but I didn't really go into too much depth on it, was body cam and dash cam footage. And that was like in reference to the accident I was in. But at a larger scale, I'm going to approach this in a different manner. You guys are saying that you're trying to show more transparency with law enforcement and with the public. But honestly, doing that would be releasing more footage. And myself, I speak for myself.
Sorry, can I just really
Yes,
quickly
sir.
to help? So statutorily, we're only allowed to release that footage if the, what's the right term? Like holder of the record, is that close enough? Keeper of the record?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
Counselors, the footage she's talking about, and I believe I copied you all in on the answer that directed her to the statutory authority that says that this particular kind of recording and that is the body cam recordings can't be released without a court order, mostly because in this case there is no active criminal or civil case.
So we're
The civil case has been settled.
we're
and the criminal
prevented by
case
law
has also been
from
Yes,
from.
I'm not speaking of my particular case. I'm not
But
speaking.
in any of those cases,
Okay. I think that's something that needs to change. I'm like, there needs to be some different laws that come into play.
that would be for your state legislators.
I understand that. I'm just voicing a concern.
Sure.
Because you guys are saying you want more transparency with law enforcement and the public. And I'm not saying this isn't from my mouth, and I'm not going to speak for other people, but some of the people I know don't trust law enforcement. They don't trust the city council. From some of the history here, there's, it's valid. And like I said, I'm not going to point fingers and accuse people that they're corrupt or anything, but they're not. I'm just saying there's a history here, and there's a reason to be, kind of leery. But periodically, there's other departments in Wyoming that'll release footage.
Your Honor,
So-
on that, I'm retired law enforcement, and we had, when I was at the sheriff's office, we had the body cameras. So I'm hoping you're not saying that, like, if I we went to domestic violence, sexual assaults, are you wanting that stuff just put out there? Because
No.
we have to respect the privacy of the
That's
people.
that's part
that
of what
we
I wanted
deal
to
with.
say too. Using discretion, blurring faces, cutting things out, putting subtitles or whatever in. It's just more clarity on what actually takes place because people feel like they're in the dark.
Yeah, but even to a certain point, I don't know what it takes, what the chief had to go through when they released the other videos, because certain people were blurred out
Yes,
and
sir.
things like that. But we're a small community, and even with the blurring out and stuff like that and the subtitles, we're small. Somebody's going to know who this person is because they've been to that house. They can tell.
Yeah.
But so at the utmost, the most important thing is the privacy of the people that we deal with.
Yes.
Because I'm sure if officers came to your house for something embarrassing or horrific or something like that, you wouldn't want everybody on YouTube to be able to
No.
jump into your business. So we have to temper the rights of the people to see what's going on, but for them, we have to really put a lot of weight on our victims here.
I understand that, and I'm being a victim myself where I've been in situations like that. I completely understand that.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't want your stuff out there.
No,
So, but
and-
yeah,
and
I see your point as well, that
Yeah.
we need to let people know, but that's on specific incidences. If there is, like the mayor said, if there's a civil issue or criminal issue, yeah, if the powers that be say, and you can get a judge to agree, that's why
I do,
checks and balances.
though, very much appreciate you bringing additional information about missing signage and things.
Yeah.
We are, this had never occurred to me, and after I found out, I was like, well, duh, that makes sense. We don't have anybody whose job it is to drive around and find those things.
Yeah.
And so we really rely on the citizens to tell us, like, hey, I've got 4 inches of ice built up on my street and it's busting up my car. Hey, there's a pothole. Hey, there's a missing sign. Like, it's very helpful to the city when people bring that information to us, because then we can identify it, get a plan, get it addressed.
That's what I brought up the first time I spoke too, involving the community more. I don't know if you guys have a website or something that people can get to, along with that beautification thing to draw people more in. But I just wanted to clarify more on the dash and body cam footage. I am well aware that you can only disclose so much information, but honest to God, people need more trust in Rock Springs. So a lot of people, I'm not gonna say a lot, but there's a significant amount of people that don't trust law enforcement here. And they wouldn't speak up. They're not people that are going to speak up until something horrific happens.
But I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm not going to put words in other people's mouths, but there is that feeling there, and it is justified, and then other times it's not justified because there's good law enforcement and there's bad. They're human beings, and myself, who was going to be a police officer, was told from day one, you're going into these environments where it's the worst time these people have ever experienced in their lives. And you're going to be hated. Be prepared to be hated. And you haven't done anything wrong, and they're going to hate you for no reason whatsoever. Whatever their past is, brush it off and do your job. So, but that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And there's flags. I would think this would be better coming from Marines. I don't know if any of you, officer, you served. You said you had served. I think someone else had served. There's 2 flags. I noticed at 2 residents that were kind of torn up and faded. So I don't know if you guys are Army, Navy, Marines, or whatever, but maybe you could kind of get some new ones for them.
Sometimes on things like that, sorry, Your Honor,
No, you're fine.
I may be able to go through, I don't know if the Legion has a program.
I know they take retired flags.
They retire the flags. They would be the ones that most likely can tell them how to
I kind of thought it would be better coming from like a fellow service person rather than like a citizen. I don't know. I thought it would probably mean more.
No, on a lot of
Okay.
somebody's private residence, I've had a flag up that got, and I didn't notice it because I see it every day, and it was until my brother comes over and goes, you need to fix that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And I keep spares in my house, so they might not just be
I guess
paying
my point
attention
being,
to
when I lived in Sheridan, we had citizens that were in the military that would go to these places and give them new flags, especially like older people that couldn't get out, just kind of out of respect, pretty much like before Veterans Day. Because there was one, I think it was on 5th Street, there was like 3 Marine flags, and they gave them new ones, and, they were just pretty torn up. So from my perspective, I just thought it would be nice from, somebody else that served to bring them a new flag. I don't know the parameters, and, just out of respect for them.
Okay, that might be something to bring up to the Legion. I think
Okay.
they would be glad to.
And I
to help.
typed those up. There's only 2 of them I've seen.
Okay.
Okay. There's 3 of them.
Do you have extra? I might have some extra.
Thank you.
Okay, and these are the list of and then the notes I made for my meeting.
If you want to just set them there, I'll grab them after the meeting. Thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to address us? Yes, sir.
Is this on? Okay. Good evening. My name is David Martin. I'm the news director at Sweetwater Now. And I'm just giving my 2 cents on public comment, public access to local government, something that's near and dear to me. So I've covered a number of boards and commissions and councils over my career. And the yardstick for public comment, as far as the time limit goes, is 3 minutes, generally been 3 minutes per individual, 5 minutes per group. And a lot of boards and other elected officials have been pretty loose about that, and only really stick to that when there is either a significant agenda to work through, or there's a lot of people commenting on a hot button issue, for example.
Chickens.
Yeah, chickens. So
That 3 times we're doomed.
Code word.
well, you never know. Maybe next meeting. So I just wanted to, put that out there. Also, as you had done earlier, it's a good idea to remind people that they can contact their council representatives outside of these meetings, and that a lot can be addressed just working with their counselor. For example, Mr. Hickerson is my council representative. If I have a pothole issue, I could contact him, and that's another route to not only address an issue, but also keep your meetings rolling, as it were. So that's all.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, pop on up.
Only 30 seconds.
Okay.
30. Now, I'm going to defend our chief of police. because these people don't understand. The only way you get to know him is you got to go see him. And you got to sit there and you got to say, hey, come on, you're going to show me what your department's all about. And I think these people need, if they've got a problem with it, they need to come to him and he'll make some time. I know he will. And he will take him and show him what his department is. I've met many officers here, a lot more than I've ever, got to meet. And they're doing a good job. There's just a few little things, but they're doing a great job. So when she talks about, people are talking about the bad cops and the bad stuff like that, that's the past. I'm looking for the future, and that's why I went after him, to find out who he was about and what he was going to do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Is you got to learn to come and ask questions, to learn who. It's like a cop. If I don't like that cop, I want to go with him on right along, so I know who he is. I know what he's about.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a good police department. And if there wasn't one, oh, let me tell you, I'd be seeing you every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and I think trust, institutional trust, is at a pretty low point just generally in our country. And you're right, the way we start to fix that is by having conversations and getting to know people and taking that time. I wish that she had hung around for a second, just because we've had a lot of people who've come to give public comment about things that are so far out of our purview that we don't have any authority, to any more than any other citizen to address. And I'm glad they feel comfortable using this as a forum to express those concerns, because it's a good place for them to do that. But their energy would be better directed taking it to the place that people have the authority to do something. So with that, I think we've unless any of the department heads would like to give public comment. Okay, with that, we'll close public comment and move to bills and claims. We have the bills and claims for December 19th, 2023. Council, do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to approve bills and claims for December 19th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Abstain.
Okay, so the motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining. That brings us to salaries for December 7th, 2023.
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve salaries for December 7th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Abstaining.
The motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining. That takes us to new business, the first being the parameters or principles of public comment. I would entertain a motion around this topic.
Okay.
Not to what do you call it? Spike the punch, but I'm just looking for something that we move to create a guideline to be read prior to public comment.
I will move then to create a just general guideline for public comment to inform those wanting to speak to be brief, to the point, not repetitive, and to remind them, like was stated before, that they can always contact their council member directly. Just those general kind of reminders, so we set the parameters right up front at every public comment time, and everybody's on the same page.
Fair enough. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. How much ink, Matt, would it cost us to add our emails to the bottom of the agenda? Is it gonna?
It's going to bankrupt us.
That's my worry.
Your Honor, I don't believe it would cost us anything.
Council, would you be good with that if we added our emails to the bottom so that, and maybe the ward, although let me tell you what, when I have had people come out to me, what ward am I in? I'm like, man, I don't even know what ward I'm in. Like, let me try to find that map. No, it's not quite that bad. Yeah. So if we could start doing that just so that they're out there and easy for people to get, that'd be great. Our next item of new business is a request from the Vehicle Maintenance Department for permission to fill a vacant equipment mechanic position. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve that request.
Thank you, Councilor Zadi. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Petrie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item of new business is a request from the Family Recreation Center for permission to fill a vacant ice arena supervisor position. Do we have a motion?
You're on.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Request from the Engineering Operations and Public Services Department for permission to bid the 2024 gasoline and diesel fuel contract and 2024 uniform contract. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to resolutions, the first being 2023-165.
A resolution accepting and approving an administrative services agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming and authorizing and directing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson?
move to approve resolution 2023-165.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
That was everybody but Councilor Petrie, so you just roll some dice, I guess. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, for God's sakes. We were moving along so nice.
Off your game. Off your game.
It's because I was so excited. I was like, if we go fast, we can be done by 8. Matt, if you will, please. Thank you, Kristen.
Councilor Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes, motion carries unanimously, bringing us to resolution 2023-166.
A resolution accepting and approving a summary of benefits and coverage from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming and authorizing and directing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming to execute said SBC approval on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson?
move to approve resolution 2023-166.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you will, please.
Councilor Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to resolution 2023-167.
A resolution accepting and approving Section 204 Informational Agreement and Business Associate Agreement from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming and authorizing and directing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming to execute said agreements on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-167.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Councilor Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously, taking us to 2023-168.
A resolution accepting and approving a statement of work for health and benefits brokerage and a master services agreement between Willis Towers Watson Insurance Services West, Inc. and the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs to execute said statement of work for health and benefits brokerage and master services agreement on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve Resolution 2023-168.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Counselor Demas,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Taking us to Resolution 2023-169.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding agreement between the State of Wyoming Office of the Attorney General Division of Criminal Investigation and the Rock Springs Police Department for the ICAC Task Force Affiliate Program and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Bill Erspamer as chief of police of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor?
Your Honor.
You want to be low?
No, you go ahead.
No wonder she wants to move away from us.
Right.
Resolution, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-169.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Petrie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Counselor Pedri,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to 2023-170.
A resolution accepting and approving a fiscal year 2024 Transportation Alternatives Program subrecipient grant agreement between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and the Wyoming Department of Transportation, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson?
I move to approve Resolution 2023-170.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Counselor Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final act of business this evening, Resolution 2023-171.
A resolution accepting and approving a change request to the contract with Ken Garf Cheyenne Dealership for the purchase of vehicles for the Rock Springs Police Department, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs to approve said change request and updated vehicle quotes on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hickerson?
move to approve Resolution 2023-171.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Before I bang the gavel, I would like to echo Shirley. I do have to say that this is being the last meeting of my first year. It has been an absolute pleasure working with all of you, and I really am enjoying this more than probably it says good things about my mental health. But thank you guys. Like it's been really good.
Likewise. Thank you.
And Merry Christmas. Yes, ma'am. To everyone, I think it'll be good. So with that, you're all free.